my name is Lina. I'm a volunteer at the White Plains Public Library, and I'm going to be showing you all how to make these paper flowers for Mother's Day. It's a relatively simple craft, but it's a lot of fun and it has a lot of variance involved. You can do a lot of different kinds of color combinations, you can use a lot of different kinds of materials, but this is just the sort of basic startup point for everyone. So what you'll generally need are some brushes, some trays to hold paint. You don't need trays, you can use plates, obviously, it's not required, whatever you have on hand. Some paints. Now I'm going to be using acrylic paint for mine, but you can do watercolor paints as well. They work just as well. They have a different effect. It's a little bit more, not opaque, yeah, maybe opaque, than acrylic, which is more of a solid matte color, but it's still very pretty, it's very marbled, and ultimately the process is the same, whichever kind of paint you use. Some water and some glue to glue the flower petals together. Now normally I use hot glue, but if you're younger or if you're a little more intimidated by using hot glue, you can use any kind of glue that dries clear. This is important because the centerpieces, if you want to make little centerpieces for your flowers, you can use different little things. These are little beads I found just lying around the house. Some other little trinket beads like these, or buttons like this, you know, things like that. You can use puzzle pieces. I have some puzzle pieces here from a puzzle I'm not using. I'm not going to use those, I think, right now, but that's just an example of what you can use. All right, so for simplicity's sake and to get sort of the basic gist of things out of the way, I've already pre-painted a piece of paper on both sides, just to kind of, you know, I'm pretty sure most people know how to paint a piece of paper, but you want to make sure you do it on both sides, and you want to make sure you try and get it to a point where it's not quite dry, but it's fairly dry. You want it to still feel a little bit light when you move through it. You don't want it to feel too stiff. And the reason for that is because if you want to get the nice effect like this, with the petals here, you're going to want to make sure that you can curl the paper. Oh, and one last thing that you'll need is a mechanical pencil. Now, you might think, well, can I just use a regular pencil? Well, you can try. If you think that'll work, you can definitely try. The reason I like to use mechanical pencils in this case is because of this little thing, this little clip thing. This little clip thing will help you to make sure that the pencil can curl the paper in this nice little way, give it that nice little flair, and sort of make it look a little bit more delicate and fancy, basically. So what you want to do first and foremost, after you've painted your piece of paper front to back and let it dry just enough, is you want to draw little like oval shapes that are smaller at the front and bigger at the back. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on camera, but something like this. Bigger at the back, smaller at the front. And you want to draw, you can, for this flower in particular that I made, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 petals. I did 8 petals. I'm sure you could do more if you wanted to do a different type of flower, but if you're looking to do something like this one, it tends to be kind of better to kind of scale down the amount so that way you can really see all of the flower and really see all of the effect of the flower. So you want to do, I think it was 8 petals. And don't worry if the petals are not symmetrical. They don't have to be, because you're really not going to notice it on the flower very much. All you're really going to notice is just kind of the way that it's shaped and the way that it's laid out. Okay, so now I've got my petals. They're not perfect, but they'll suffice. They will work. And I'm going to take my scissors and cut them out. try to cut like as close to the line as you can. Obviously, again, when you're gluing these down, it's not going to matter too much what they look like, but for the sake of just being kind of concise and neat with the outline, you want to be like at least a little, you know, on the mark, I guess. But again, don't be like too nervous if, you know, they don't turn out perfect, because again, when you lay them down, the thing that you're really going to notice when you lay them down is the shape that they make, and not so much the actual shape of the petals themselves. That's not really the big goal here. Also, on another note, feel free to make the petals as big or as small as you like. If you think you can make a bigger flower, I say go for it. I'm just more used to making the smaller size flower because it just happens to be something that I'm more used to doing on a smaller scale, I think. It's a little bit more manageable, and the glue kind of, at least in my experience, dries a little better on a smaller scale. But I don't know, maybe you can figure out a trick to make it all kind of a little bit more even, so that way everything dries a little bit more neatly. But that would take some experimentation, and we all kind of hope to see what results you guys come up with for Mother's Day. I think it would be really great to see a lot of different variations of these paper flowers, because there's no right or wrong way to do it. This is just one way to kind of figure out what we want to have created here. All right, so now that I've got my petals out, these are all of them, I'll show you all of my petals here. I'm going to get a little bit closer actually, so that way you can see what I'm gonna do, because this part is going to require a little bit more sight. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take one petal, preferably, you know, either your biggest or maybe the one that you think maybe you could have done a little bit better cutting on, but generally, like, I like to do it the biggest one. And you want to lay that one flat, like this, okay? You want to lay it flat, and you want to take another petal, and you want to put it on top as if you're making a little, like, compass or a cross, like this. And you want to do it in like a little pattern, so that way your petals wind up looking something like this. You want to make something like this, in this shape. Just lay each petal on top of each other, so that way they start to become a more coherent shape. And you want to make sure that you kind of do this in a sequential order, so don't like glue everything on top of each other right away. So I'm going to be gluing the second petal to the first petal first. Also, another note, don't drown this in glue. It'll just become too slippery, and it'll kind of fall apart on itself, which is not something anybody wants. So you want it kind of glued like this. See, this is the first part of our little compass flower cross type thing. It's best to wait a little bit in between each gluing, but as long as you're not, again, dousing it in glue, it should be fine. So let's get on to the next one. Just remember, like, little tiny dots. Less is very much more in this case. Very much so. So now we've got our basic shape, and I'm realizing that I could use a few more petals because, as you can see right here, I've only got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm gonna need, I think, 2 more for this. And that's fine. If you want to maybe do more or less petals, like I said before, that's all up to you. Whatever you think looks best. Just one thing to try and keep in mind is that if you're going to add more petals to your flower, try to keep them in the same size range. Like, again, the petals don't have to be perfect, but try to make sure they're the same size, so that way the flower doesn't kind of like fall apart under its own weight with how like all the petals are very different and the paper being heavier and the like. Just try to make sure that you keep everything within kind of a similar range. Alright. Now that we've got this little cross shape, what we want to do with our other petals is in the little angular gaps here, 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 we want to glue petals. So, let me demonstrate what that looks like. And we want to put them at an angle. We don't want to put them just like this. We don't want to do this. This isn't going to look very nice. What we want to do is put them like this. If you can see, kind of like it's an arrow pointing out between the corners. Want to do this so that way it looks a little bit more like a star, I guess. And again, don't just drown this thing in glue because it's just going to get slippery and fall apart if you do that. Just put a little tiny dot between each thing. And try to make sure the glue is like okayly distributed too. Let's see. So like this. And try to remember, it doesn't need to be perfect. Like, you'll notice that this petal is a little bigger than this petal, and this petal is a little smaller than that petal, and all that. It doesn't matter. It does not matter, because once we curl this, it's gonna you're not even gonna notice any of the little imperfections. It's just gonna look very pretty. Okay, and now we have the base of our flower here, so I'm gonna just try to hold it. Yeah, it doesn't want to stay perfectly still, but you kind of get the picture, you know. It looks like this. So, now, at this point, we don't want it to dry together too much yet, and the reason for that is because if you want to curl the petals of the flower, it's got to be a little bit damp. So this process is a little bit tricky. So this is the hardest part of making the flower in general. So let me see if I can get a bit closer to show you. Make sure I don't knock over my water. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take your mechanical pencil. You want to take this little thing at the end of the mechanical pencil, and you want to take a petal. You want to slip the petal through the mechanical pencil, and you want to curl the petal, I guess counterclockwise? I suppose it'd be counterclockwise. You want to curl the petal around the pencil so that way it's wrapping around the base of the pencil and not the clip. So like this. Okay? You want to wrap it around, and you want to hold it tight for a few minutes. Just hold it tight. And then you want to carefully let go, and it's going to look like that. Isn't that pretty? Doesn't that look nice? Yeah, I love that effect. And you want to do that with all of the petals. So you want to wrap it. Oh, am I doing this in the wrong direction? If you wind up doing it in the wrong direction, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. You can always correct it as long as the paper is still damp. As long as the paper is still damp, you're good. See, I'm messing up a little bit here, but that is okay. Again, just remember that any imperfections, you're not even really going to notice them when you do it, because all you're going to see is a very pretty flower by the end. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. One thing I'm seeing now is that a good way to do this is to pull the paper towards you on this. So that way, if you want the flowers going inward, if you want the petals going inward like that, you want them pointed to you. So when you slip the pencil over the flower, you roll the paper towards you. You hold it, and then you let it go. Like so. Pull it. Wait. Also, you want to put the pencil, this little pencil thing, backwards. So like, oops. There you go. Oop. The last one. There we go. Alrighty then. And now we have very pretty paper flower. Now, the last step, and this is optional. If you want to do this, you can. If you don't have to. But you can get some pretty little things like puzzle pieces or jewels that you might have around the house, little buttons, beads, anything like that. You can also paint the center of the flower. That's also a nice option, just with whatever paint you might have over or what left over or whatever. I'm going to, I think, add a little button to the center of this flower because I think that would look really nice, and I'll show it off when I've glued it. Now, one thing I will note is that while I think that the paper is going to do better with whatever glue you have that dries clear, I think that generally, if you want to glue something solid into the flower, what'll have more staying power is hot glue, and if you're younger or less experienced with hot glue, I would suggest you get someone to help you figure that out, as it's a little bit tricky sometimes. But if you're not going to jostle the flower around too much, if you're not going to throw it against the wall, then I think that clear glue can work perfectly fine. I think it'll do the job very well. Just if you want it to hold up even longer, I would suggest clear glue. And there you have it. There is our paper flower. You can make as many of these as you like. You can do lots of different colors. You can make them into a wreath if you want. There's really like many options to it. You're under no obligation to just do one kind of flower. You can make layered ones. I haven't even tried doing that, but I've seen some stuff on the internet. It's not much different. It's not much harder. And yeah, I hope that you guys will make these for Mother's Day. I hope that your mother will enjoy them. I know my mom does. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Signing off. All right. Let me turn off this now.